Welcome back to the weird and the wonderful with Strange Bones. That's me. I hope everybody is having a wonderful evening. Chilly though it is. Hey to Roikat. Just grabbing my blankie because the weather has gone particularly cold, which is in no way pleasant at all. I don't know how it is by you, but man, it's chilly by me. But welcome. Just going to wait for a few people to join, and tonight we have an interesting one if you're a South African, and with a name like Roikat, I'm pretty sure you are. Durian, welcome. So, as you know, the aim of the channel, such as it is to do things that are interesting, curious, supernatural, paranormal, and all of the good things that go along with that, purely because, well, it's interesting and we like it. And we've done a lot of stuff all over the world and checked out all of the different possible things that might be out there going bump in the night. But one of the requests which came up from more than one person, interestingly enough, was to do a little more on South African stuff, and specifically to have a look at the Tokolosh. So that's what we're going to do tonight. We're going to do a dive into that. Hey, Rogue. And Shireen, welcome. So it's good to see you guys all here. I see a couple of familiar faces. Blank Page, I think I've seen you on here before. And MIT Stainless, welcome. J-Dot, it's good to have you guys on board. Dries, welcome. So, starting us off, I'm just going to remind everybody that we have but one rule on this channel, and that is don't be rude. If you are rude, we will kick you off. That said, we always enjoy comments. You can have whatever opinion that you do like. Absolutely. This is just for curiosity and interest. We don't promote or deride anybody's particular belief. We've got all kinds of people from all over the world and all kinds of different faiths and more, so we don't go to get at anybody. We're just interested in what people say and what might be out there. So Africa has got all kinds of cryptids, some very interesting ones. And we've started doing a bit deeper dive into the history and more of such things. And I was asked by a number of people if possibly we could look at the Tokolosh. What is it? Why is it? Is it like anything else around the world? Why do we have such a thing? And what role does it play? Now, we also do know that in many countries, the cryptids are no longer really believed in at all. That it is no longer shall we say, an active part of people's understandings or beliefs. But the Tokolosh absolutely is. So it's a living thing. Jaden, hi, how are you doing? I hope you're in fine and fabulous form. absolutely welcome to join on. So this is going to be an interesting one, I think, and I'm sure that many people have many opinions and more in that regard. How are you doing, Jaden?
You're talking about the Tokoloshi without me?
No, we have barely started, so just doing the intro. You have missed nothing.
Wait, I'm just gonna leave, then I'm gonna rejoin for okay?
All good, I do understand. Not a problem at all. So
I didn't know my phone can do this.
while we are settling in, I'm going to remind you all that the channel relies on you. So like, share, subscribe, do all of those important things that help the channel grow and go. Send lots of gifts, because without them, well, we can't really function. But with that, first of all, we know that the idea of the existence of the Tokolosh has been around for quite a long time. So it's not a new thing. It is absolutely a thing that is known to be part of life in that regard for many, many people. And with that, yes, welcome back. So what do you think? Are Tokoloshs real, Jaden?
Yes.
I know that a lot of people do believe in them in South Africa. It's definitely an interesting thing, but curiously enough, we are not the only country with something similar. But
yeah, what about Limpopo? Where else? There's many other places. Durban probably also.
yes, but not just South Africa. We have similar things in completely different cultures, which is quite interesting, and we will get to that as well. I see our friend Dot has come back. I never know who he is. He's just a dot, but he's on a fairly regular basis. So welcome, even if we don't know who you are. Well, you are always welcome. You know that. And of course, one of the few that we allow on lives. As you guys know, we sometimes get some fairly awful trolls, so I'm very careful who I allow there. I'm doing well tonight.
Like that guy that I was saying, yo, it's an N-word and something.
Yes. So
yes.
we have
Nobody
to
likes
know.
the live.
Not yet, but we shall get there.
I'm already starting. Yeah, like. I need a new phone, no, really, man. Yo, like the damn light. Thanks, man, yo.
Yes, sometimes updates are required, and I know I had to do a serious clean out on mine. Thank you, Don, for the likes there, and thank you, Jaden. Much appreciated. But so the Tokolosh.
My other phone is on 87%. Neat.
That's good. You have a backup.
Yeah, my father's birthday is on the 2nd of October.
Oh wow, that's nice. Definitely happy birthday to Jaden's father, and well, we will wish you when we get there. I will not forget that. I will make a note so that we can wish you on the 13th.
I'm just happy because it's been like how many months? Have you noticed that every year a year is slow and then one is faster?
Yes. Now, interestingly enough on that, and completely off topic, there's some interesting scientific things that I was watching a video on earlier that shows that we think time is an absolute standard and it just goes at the same speed, it never changes. But some new scientific research has shown that that's not true. actually time is relative. So maybe when we say that month went really fast, it might actually be the case. And it might be scientifically provable.
Because look, we're in September now.
Yes.
If we were now in 2024, no, is it 20? Yeah, it is. If we were in 2024, we'll still be in May.
Well, you see, it seems that we learn more every day about things we thought were absolute and might not be.
You teach me more than my actual teachers.
Well, thank you for that. I do appreciate that. I don't know if the topics are always quite as useful, but they're interesting.
Yeah, it's useful. Now I know if there's an investigation in my house, I can say, yeah, this guy taught me everything. This was a Tokoloshi, this was a Sangoma and everything.
Well, Sangomas are actually going to be quite important tonight.
I saw Sangoma and you're that people. Yo. I see this man. I see this child in the street walking alone. The Sangoma is chasing me.
I wonder why. Well, we do need to start off by introducing to anybody who is not familiar with them what exactly the difference between the different kinds of witches and how they're seen in South Africa, because it is important to understanding. So when we did our long deep dive into witches, we realized that a lot of the importance is in the use of words. Now, what do I mean by that? We mean that...
Like, you go there and you go tell them, like, for example, you trade them something, a thing of your body part, and you say, I want this to happen to this type of person in here.
Not exactly. Henna. Briefly, we are talking about Sangomas because they relate to the Tokolosh, which is what we are talking about tonight. But...
Doesn't the Sangomas correct Tokolosh?
Well, here's the thing. In South Africa, when somebody speaks of a witch, it's not the Western view of a witch. Because here, while there are what technically you might call a witch, here we don't call them that if they are good. So your Sangoma and your Inyanga do use magic, etc., but they are not considered to be witches, because in the terminology used, witches are only the bad ones. So we wouldn't call Isangoma a witch. Now, there is an actual difference in the words used, and therefore that's important. So just for everybody, again, yes but no. Which ones use body parts, Henna? And therein comes the big importance with terminology in that regard. Because...
Can I just say something?
Yes, go for it.
I don't want to get hate now, but you see my mother?
Yeah.
Her mother used to do witch things and all.
Well, you see, this is where the words become important, because...
But she wasn't the bad one. She was just, yeah, you know.
Yes.
She never used to do curses or any crap like that.
Exactly. So in the Western world, anybody that uses magic would be referred to as a witch, but not in South Africa. Because here, very specifically, they make a distinction between the good ones, which have other names, and the bad ones, which they call a witch, who do the bad things. So there is, you need to keep in mind the difference in language, how people will see it. So if you are said to use magic, you might be considered to be an Isangoma, but not a witch. If you're accused of being a witch, they're specifically saying that you use bad stuff.
Oh, like black magic?
Yes. So we need to keep that in mind, okay? Because there is a correlation between the Tokolosh and a witch, but not between a Tokoloshe and an Isangoma or an Inyanga. If that makes sense.
Can I say something?
Yes.
You see, man, my friend was about like past 3 in the morning, like very dark. We watching this movie on Netflix. It's called Sangoma. Not
Okay.
Sangoma, yo, I mean Tokoloshi. Yo, we were like almost at the end of the movie. We just heard ECC where we throw that phone across the room. Yo, when I told you, we went to bed instantly and started praying. We did that. Yo, we were scared.
Well, funnily enough, in my research for this, that movie actually came up because apparently it's based very accurately on the mythology surrounding the Tokoloshe. So yes, I can imagine it would be quite scary.
Because like when we heard that ECC, we were like, we don't want to do this anymore. So we just, we threw that phone. Now the phone is cracked in all places.
Oh, goodness gracious me. Well, it is actually quite scary. So you will have to tell us whether or not, because I haven't seen the movie.
Oh no, but they don't make the Tokoloshi like it's actually seemed to be. It's like, it's a tall figure, it doesn't have a face. It's in human form, but it's also not. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah.
Ah, yes, I see what you mean. Yes, no, I do understand. Well, we will look at what it is apparently supposed to look like. And apparently that might change somewhat, dependent on the person that makes the creature. Now, here's the interesting thing. A Tokoloshe, apparently, is made. They don't exactly exist on their own, which makes it a very unique kind of creature. So let's dive in and see what we've got, because this is absolutely going to be an interesting one, and possibly...
Isn't the Tokoloshi basically just a demon?
Yes, but no. That's where it becomes quite interesting, because you see, on its own, it's only a spirit, and it can't come into this world. How?
Only someone like
Yes, exactly. So it gets very interesting. So let's dive in and see what we've got and have a chat about this. So we know the basics. I mean, if you live in South Africa, everybody knows the basics, because that's how it is. So it's essentially a mischievous or possibly even malevolent dwarf-ish spirit. So it's short.
Oh, sorry.
No, go on.
I'm like just playing this game on my other phone, a drifting game, and I'm falling off every time.
Don't fall off. So what about their size? Because, well, Henna. So Henna asks, what about their size? Because no one really knows their size. It seems that they always are short. Now, why? We're not sure. But they are
reported. People put bricks under their bed so they can't climb on.
We are getting to that, because, yes, the fact that they are short connects to that belief. So... you are correct.
If the Tokoloshi is coming towards you, like, can't you just scope that thing under mouse in and won't it like just say, "Hey, and run"?
Well, apparently they're immensely strong.
Oh hell!
So
you see why I don't want to live in this country.
You see, so we know that they're short. They're possibly always bad, and the reason that they're always bad will come out as we go along.
But sometimes they just like scared children when they misbehave.
That will depend on the person who makes it.
And it can bring death and illness.
Yes, so we'll see why as we learn more about it. But what they do is dependent not on them, but on the person who's brought it in. So Henna says, but what I've heard here in South Africa, they also hide in rooftop. They do hide, and there are reasons for that as well. So we're going to have
What
to
do you
get
say?
stuck in. They like to hide and watch people. But there are reasons.
Man.
Yes. Okay, so buckle up for a scary one. Now, they are said to be an agent of a witch. Remember what I said, that witches in this country are always the bad kind. Okay? The other variety have different names, so keep that in mind. Now, it's always described as hairy, somewhat goblin-like. It is quite possible that it can turn invisible.
Okay, what the
Okay, so it can hide away very easily.
It became scarier now. It became scarier now.
It does, doesn't it? I did warn you. It gets a lot scarier. So be warned, it's going to get a lot scarier. Now,
In case you can take out your guts without cutting you open.
that is just one thing. There is more. So we know that they are accused of causing everything from petty theft to causing illness, possibly even assault of all kinds, and
Oh, like, yeah, RA and that.
yes, exactly that. So that as well, and also the unaliving of people, because that's what they can do.
But theory that the Tokoloshi has a long, yeah, you know.
Well, that will
So
possibly also depend when we get to how they're made.
Because they said, like, how can I say this? Like, he puts it under his legs and he carries it, over his arm.
Yes, that is one of the things that is said. So we need to know a lot more before we can make any particular decisions about this creature. But, so it causes trouble. It's short. It's generally hairy. It can appear and disappear at will. And it likes to hide and come only at night. Now,
But, like, if you can't you, like, just say Jesus' name, won't it, like, say, "Ay, and run," or is that now our thing?
well, protection methods. This includes, as you mentioned earlier, raising up your bed so it's too tall for it. We know that
Can't it, like, just hold onto the bed sheets and just pull itself up?
apparently not easily. I'm not sure why. But perhaps you need extra protection as well.
I thought it was strong, so can't it, like, just and then the whole cover comes off with you?
Possibly. So the other things you can use is special charms, which you can get obviously from your Inyanga or Isangoma. You can get special blessings from the Sangomas that will keep it away. And they do say that blessings from any religious leader should keep it away. So in that regard, yes, getting
Oh,
a...
wait, can I just say something?
Yes?
Remember the quays and all that stuff?
The Khoisan?
Yeah, was it Tokoloshi around that time?
Well, not really, because the Khoisan are not Nguni, and this is an Nguni creature. So the Khoisan have got their own beliefs and things, but the Tokolosh is not one of them in that regard. So who are the Nguni people? Well, the Nguni people obviously include the Zulu, where most of us in KZN learnt about the Tokolosh, but there are a number of Nguni or Bantu people that at a time way back came down from Central Africa. So it seems that they brought this down from Central Africa. And the Khoisan also isolate themselves? Well, yes, to a certain degree. But remember that the Khoisan are not Bantu. They are completely different. So they're a different group. They are not part of the Nguni culture. The Xhosa, of course, are. I believe that the Sotho might be. I'm not totally certain there, but the Zulu absolutely are. So we're dealing with a very specific racial grouping as to where the origins are. That said, the belief has spread to a lot more other people. We know that the exact origins are not well recorded at all. Probably something from somewhere in Central Africa that has come down and evolved. But the modern interpretations absolutely hold it as an important trickster figure, and from trickster up until violent predator, and very often in urban settings, even more than in rural. It seems that it likes the urban landscape, which is an interesting thing. Now, it's often used as a scapegoat, in a way, for real-world events, in that people will blame the Tokolosh for a lot of different things, which may or may not be true. So you may take as you will. Now, we know that Tokoloshes are created through dark magic by a witch to carry out evil deeds. So it's created specifically for bad reasons. And that's why I made the careful difference, if you will, between a witch, abatagati, and an Isangoma, because the Isangoma is supposed to be the good kind. They do healing and all of that. So they wouldn't use their abilities in order to make something as dark as a Tokolosh. The Tokoloshes are specifically only for that.
Is there something darker than a Tokolosh?
I suppose that would depend on your view of how bad they are. That's an interesting question. I don't actually know the answer to that. They're pretty bad, and if you look at how they are made, you will absolutely consider them to be pretty awful.
I thought you were going to call them like pretty. I thought you were going to leave the awful out.
So yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. What is the worst possible supernatural thing that might be found out of Africa? I don't know. That's a very good question that might require further research. But certainly it's pretty bad, shall we say that? Now, they're created specifically for bad things. As we say, they are short, hairy, goblin-like, with features that might include long ears and a tail. Some say, dependent on who you ask, that they are made from graveyard dirt, parts of bodies, dolls.
Man, sis.
It is pretty awful, but it gets worse. It gets worse. Sorry. So you might want to block your ears. But the commonality is, once you have created the body for it, you have to take a red hot nail or poker and put out
Like
their
nail,
eye.
like a nail on your...
No, nail like as in you
Like a
hammer it
nail.
to hammer wood together.
Oh,
Okay, so
Nail
a metal spike. And you have to hammer it through their eyes.
with a Tokoloshi.
The body, which the Tokoloshi will then inhabit.
No.
Yeah, I did warn you. I warned you. This is a bad one.
Why?
Okay.
Why? Like, what did they... What did... Wait,
Well-
so you're saying, if I die and I go to a graveyard, I could be the victim of a Tokoloshi.
Well, I suppose it's technically possible.
Hey, whoa. Wait.
I did warn you it was bad.
I'm gonna be buried under a church. How is it gonna get me now?
Ah, you see,
So gonna
that is the exact
It's not.
reason
Yeah.
for consecrated ground because it protects you. So yes, that is exactly what you do. Now, they say that it can become invisible either through swallowing a special stone that they have, or possibly just by drinking water.
Wait, so you're saying if I have the special stone of a Tokoloshi, I can get invisible?
I suppose that yes, but you would
No.
you would have to
wanna-
catch the tokoloshi first.
I'll catch him. I'll use I'll get the piece of meat. I'll drop it there in my living room. Wait for that, throw a box.
Well,
my turn invisible. Then you smack that box so pa pa pa.
One of the things that we have discovered is there is such a thing as a tokolosh trap. And we will talk about that in a little bit. So, who knows? Maybe you're right. Maybe. It sounds pretty dangerous, though. So, what are they for? Well, their role is to act as an agent of the one that created. So, it all depends on what the creator of it wanted them for. So, if they just wanted to, say, scare you a bit, then that's all it will do. If, however, they wanted
What if your auntie is a witch and she spawns a Tokoloshi and it comes to you just to scare you? Can't you just choke it to the ground and pa 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 and then roll it down?
Don't know.
It's not breathing. You take that stone. You run away, and then if it's chasing you, it's just
therein lies the problem. There's the problem. So Henna says you must get more jewelry to protect. Yes, absolutely. You're fully correct there, Henna. But let's say, so what actions can it have? Well, pretty much anything that it's sent to do. So it's not the tokolosh that decides what it's doing. It's the witch that made it. Okay, so we know that the raising of the bed idea might not be as effective as people think, for all of the reasons. It's meant to be very, very strong. It's able to climb just about anything. So getting on a bed might not be the best.
And it can get on rooftops. Imagine that. And
exactly.
That's a bed. Ooh, and people are summer. Ooh.
So it seems that getting the blessings is far more effective, at least.
You know what I just imagined?
Yes.
What if Tokoloshi went to America? I wonder what that people would say. Oh no, there's a Sangoma. I mean a Tokolosh in my garage. What do I do?
Well, here is the interesting thing that goes along with what you've just said, because originally it was considered more of a trickster in the rural areas. Thank you for the likes, Hannah. So back in the day, it was softer in a way, but as it's moved to urban environments, it's become a lot worse. And we wonder if that's not because of the tokolosh, but because of the people involved in the making. So it has evolved. We know, as you have pointed out, it's had movies made about it. It's shown in films and in a number of books and popular culture type things. Sometimes it's used in a joking way, sometimes more seriously. We know that it's absolutely used as the blame for all kinds of things, from
I'm gonna leave, but I'm gonna come back. I just want to check something.
All good, all good. So for illness, for injury, for assault, all of that, it gets blamed whether or not it really was involved or not. So there is that side to it. And we know, of course, there's almost a good side to this, because it allows victims to seek help without community repercussions, because you are not blaming anyone. So in a weird way, it helps. More on it, of course, could be found on YouTube videos. For example, one which I did check out, and it was very interesting, View from the Dark, which is a channel on YouTube that has varying things. Now, one of the slightly weird bits that came up in the research, if you will, you might question why anybody would care, but what do they eat? And the answer is actually one that made me wonder, because they do eat, apparently, and they eat quite specific things. Now, for those of you who are from... Thank you, welcome. If you're from South Africa, you know exactly what this is. Their favorite food is amasi. If you're not from South Africa...
I know, like, it's like milk, but it has, like, it's salty and it has, what's it called? Sour, I mean?
Yes, it's soured milk. It's a bit like yogurt. Or buttermilk would be a better... so what we would call buttermilk is basically what amasi is, really. So according to the stories, they will steal milk from cows to make into amasi. They will steal it out of refrigerators in urban homes. So they say that is their main source of food.
Not only they bad, they thieves. How can you understand my milk? No.
Well, yes, they are absolutely thieves. That's a known fact. So, yes. So, milk, of all things, is their primary food. Now, drinking water apparently allows them to escape by becoming invisible through it. Why they become invisible when drinking water, I don't know. Kosi, welcome, hello. I'm glad to see you've come back. Yes.
Professor is crazy.
Well, you asked for these particular topics, so you are getting them as requested. Now, we know they're malevolent, that they are absolutely part of Zulu culture, which is what I know best because I'm in KZN. I don't know offhand if they are thought of existing in Central Africa, where the Nguni people originally came from. I would be interested to find out. If anybody does know, make a comment, please. But absolutely they are connected to witchcraft. So it is the witch that makes the being. So in and of itself, it
Just go to hell.
Well, I suppose that's going to depend on your belief. Hell, for the most part, is a Christian belief. And in Christianity, they would say yes. At least the bad ones. I am joined by my cat, who's turned up because she's cold.
Kitty! I want to see! Kitty!
Let's see if I can get you to see. She's hiding under the desk, but she wants to get inside the blanket because she's cold. So she's not here for my benefit. She's here for hers.
Nice. Oh, I have a year. Oh, when she was like 2 months, 5 weeks, we'll wrap her like a burrito with a blanket. She'll just lay there in a little post, just like, I don't know, curled up, and she'll just be snoring.
Well, you see, that's cats for you. We're there to serve them. Okay, so all of this depends on the witch, which, as we said, is the bad variety in this country, according to the terminology. So you have to be a bad witch. And to make, well, we've seen to make one of these creatures is a fairly awful process. So definitely not something a nice person would do. So they are only a spirit. I suppose you could argue that they're a kind of demon, but they are not on their own able to come into this world and have any...
Someone just sent me a message. I'll be right back.
Cool. So that in and of themselves, they can't get into the world. To get into the world, they have to then gain the assistance of a witch, who then binds it to their control, so that they can use it to do what weird things they wish done. So you have that side of it. So it's, for the most part, a controlled spirit, though it is malevolent on its own. So absolutely, in terms of all the stories across the board, without exception, it's bad and used for bad. So it's not like, as we found with the werewolf, you get good ones, you get bad ones, you get all kinds of ones. This is purely bad. It's meant for bad. It is designed to be bad. Now, along with specific features besides big ears, a long tail, which it doesn't always have, just so you know, wrinkled skin, a very distorted mouth, possibly fangs. It does depend. But one thing which is common across all the stories, like Hyde and Jekyll and Hyde, yes, which is an interesting thing that you might say, because it seems that in many ways it is the dark side of a person's will in that regard, which is exactly what Hyde was, except this has taken a fair bit further, if you will, because of course Jekyll and Hyde were one person, whereas in this case you've created almost an entire new person, as we shall see. But across the board they are known to have glowing red eyes. That's the standard. So a good way to know if it's a tokolosh, despite its changes in how it might look, it will be short, hairy, and have glowing red eyes. It is only there for malice. All the stories say this. Now, despite the fact that we wonder why, and it doesn't look like it might necessarily work so well, everybody says that if you can put bricks under the legs of the bed to elevate it, that will protect you. There may be other reasons as to why in that regard. I'm not sure. They can be banished by suitably... no problem there, Jaden. Don't forget, eventually I will put it up as one of the live on YouTube, so you can always go and find it there. So have a great evening. We shall see you around, sir. And much thanks for the likes. So yes, there are certain specifics. Misfortune, fear, definitely the dark side of human emotions in that regard. Bye, Jaden. And we've got somebody new joining in.
Hello.
Hello.
Wat sê jy, Maas, kind?
And we are back to our trolls. Goodbye. And I'm afraid they are going to be reported, banned, blocked, and all the rest of it, because, as I said, we have only one rule on this channel, and that's at least please to be polite. And they weren't. So I'm afraid that that's a particular group of them that come on regularly with different accounts trying to disrupt things. I know their voices, even if they change the accounts, and we don't allow them because, quite frankly, they are truly a disappointment to their parents. So we shall leave it at that. But that said, as we progress, what is the importance of it? Well, it shows up in so many places that it seems to be an underlying consideration within the culture. Exactly why is hard to explain, but it certainly is very important to people, and it's spread across cultures. Now, how do you make such a thing? Well, there are varied stories. The first is you do the ritual on a body, deceased, of course. Another version is you can actually transform a domestic animal, apparently, which is a new one to me. I had not heard that one before I did the research. Some say that the witch will actually transform their own familiar. Well, I don't know, because I haven't really heard that one either. A doll might be used. Different body parts sewn together, which, well, same a body, I suppose. What they have in common is that you have to, when you've made it, you have to burn the eyes out with a red hot metal spike of some kind, and destroy the brain so that it can't think for itself and has to obey its master. Now, that sounds suitably creepy no matter what. And we find that this actually has caused a number of interesting cases which are real-life criminal cases that are connected. So buckle up for this one. In the 1930s, a man killed his 9-year-old nephew in the belief that his nephew had become a Tokoloshe. And this has actually made into a movie in 1999 called A Reasonable Man. We also know that in 1953, the serial killer who was in fact caught, arrested and jailed, Elefasi Msomi, would kill the first of his 15 victims. And he claimed once he was caught that the reason why was that he had to not only unalive his victims, but sometimes also sexually assaulted and then dismembered them, was because he was possessed by a Tokoloshe. Now, what does the actual spirit get out of this? Well, according to what we are told, while the body, as it were, feeds on milk, the actual spirit feeds on negative energy and the despair of their victims. So the more despair produced, the more powerful they can become. So what the demon gets out of being put into and controlled is quite literally a good meal, because it lives on all of that negativity. And this might explain why It likes to watch people at night to increase the levels of fear and such like that. It's quite possible that you will find that the more it can cause fear prior to doing whatever it's supposed to, it will then do for the extra feeding, as it were. And we do know that it's said to take its time. It may watch for days or weeks before making its move, and this appears to be exactly why. You can't beat good coffee. So that's what the negative creature gets out of this. That's what the tokolos itself feeds off. And it gets stronger and stronger and stronger. But ways to stop a tokolos. Now, many of the stories say that they're very, very bad at climbing. So if you put your bed on bricks, they can't directly attack you. But in other occasions, it's been said they are very good climbers, as they can get on roofs, through windows and more. So I don't know. There's a journalist that did a whole thing on this, Pumlani Langa, which is a very Swazi name, which shows yet another of the cultures that have this in their belief system. And yes, the Siswati are also Nguni. He says one of his earliest memories was when a relative placed bricks under their bed because he was being bothered by a tokolos. However, this doesn't stop the tokolos from terrorizing the rest of the house. And it's not out of the question that they can throw things at a sleeping person and bother you in other ways, even if it can't reach you. Different communities have a variety of ways in order to permanently stop the tokolos. But what they have in common is that it is the blessing and purification from a priest, a sangoma, both, whatever. And interestingly enough, the Daily Sun, which prints quite a lot of articles about tokoloshes and so on and so forth, actually have their own sangoma to keep the people that work there safe. Dudlamanzi Umsimbini is their on-call isangoma. So clearly they take it seriously too. Now, one very good one, which I do quite like, method of dealing, which comes from the Sangoma Umsimbini, about how to get rid of one without the aid of a priest or a sangoma, is surround yourself with positivity, who and people who support and care for you. This creates such a positive atmosphere that it counteracts the very negativity that the tokolos feeds on and weakens it to the point at which it must go away. And that's kind of awesome and sort of sweet. I certainly would say that seems to be a good way to deal with these things. So yeah, that one I'm up for. Now, what do they look like? Well, let's see if I can actually pop you a picture, which is one which, I got to be honest, I like this one. This one suits me just fine as being what in my head I have always thought of these things being. So there's a good one for you. And that, yes, is not my picture. I absolutely stole it. But I think it fulfills pretty much exactly what I would think of them as looking like. a suitably creepy image right there. So I'm sure you would agree that if you have to think of such things, that's kind of what we might expect. So yeah, I'm happy with that as my version of what it might be. Is that the only possibility? No. Because they're made, I suppose they can change how they look and look different in different ways. So we can say that they come through the Nguni or Bantu people. It explains a lot as to why people might inexplicably pass on while sleeping in their rondavels at night. People generally slept on the floor with just a mat or something, and a wood fire to keep you warm. So they were down on the ground, and it's thought that because they would build up the fire and close everything up when things got really cold in the Highveld, that maybe they never realized the fire was depleting the oxygen and leaving carbon monoxide behind, which, because they were right down and carbon monoxide is heavier than oxygen, possibly caused them to get carbon monoxide poisoning and therefore pass away. And they realized that those that were sleeping elevated escaped that. And so they decided that if they put the sleeping platform higher, then the Tokoloshe couldn't get them because they would be above the levels of carbon monoxide, which is a little convoluted, maybe could be true. There is that, if you want a scientific explanation for all of it, I suppose. But I've been in a number of the kind of huts that you might live in, and yeah, they're pretty airy. I mean, in terms of, I find that theory a little dodge, but possible, I suppose. It might explain the bed on bricks thing. We do know that he is described as very short, so there is that. Now, one of the things which I find a little bit off-putting in many of the research points I went to is how they say that this is part of the superstition. No, it's part of a different belief system, and it's no more weird than most belief systems that are out there. I mean, every belief system has some pretty funky beliefs, so yeah, to call it a superstition is just rude. What's very interesting is that they do so that it's known to bite off sleeping people's toes. Not quite sure where that bit comes in, but there you go. Your toes are at risk from a Tokoloshe. Now, as we say, the making of the thing is a deliberate thing done. Either a client, or I suppose the evil witch can be their own client, usually a very jealous person, will go to the witch to get them to take vengeance on someone. Now, we do know that jealousy is one of the cardinal sins in most communities. So it doesn't surprise me that this is the reason behind that is said to always be the case. Because as you know, in any community, especially one that relies on each other strongly for survival, jealousy can wreak terrifying havoc. So it certainly makes sense that this is the primary reason for. So they go to the witch in question, and the client has to promise the soul of a loved one, but cannot choose who. So the tokolosh gets to choose which soul to take, which adds just another dimension to A, what the tokolosh will get out of this, and B, how creepy it really is. Okay, so you don't get to choose, you just have to go and say, all right, I agree. The random soul of somebody that I dearly love will be paid to the tokolosh in order to do what I want. They then have to create some form of a vessel for said tokolosh, the witch does, usually a body or sewn up body parts or a doll or something like that, possibly a livestock. They then must do this ritual, sprinkling it with a special powder and shrinking the body down, which is why it's short. Once this is done, they take the metal spike and do the deed to destroy the eyes and brain with the red hot spike, which is truly terrifying. And it's ready to come alive. And then it is let loose to terrorize its target, taking payment for the soul of the client's loved one at its leisure. It can be weeks, months, or even years before it decides to do this, which is truly creepy. Now, we do know, amongst other things, that it will turn up in all kinds of things. We know that if you're a fan of Madam and Eve, the popular comic strip, there are all kinds of jokes in there that include the tokolosh. We know that the tokolosh man was a music hit by John Congos, later covered by the Happy Mondays, and released on the Electra compilation album The Rubaiyat. We know that the video for the song Evil Boy by De Antwoord featured a tokolosh. We know that the word tokolosh is mentioned several times in the 2003 film The Bone Snatcher, which is interesting. We know that the Hosh Tokolosh is a pop or rap type song by Jack Parrow. We know that it's a major part of the 1999 film A Reasonable Man, which we mentioned. We know that it appeared in every episode of the third series of the British TV show Mad Dogs, although only one character can see it, and it's left unclear whether it's real or a hallucination. At one point, characters are told that if you see it, it means someone will pass on. We know that Salt Rock Surfing and Clothing Company has a mascot called Tok, which is the full name of the the name of the mascots in full is Tokolosh, so it's a mascot. We know that Steve Shelley got his stage name Toshk as a derivation of Tokolosh, which doesn't sound like too much of a compliment. And we know that in Gene Wolfe's The Shadow of the Torturer, Severian is considered to be a tokolosh by the Zulu shaman that he encounters in the aerial hut in the Botanic Gardens. So it's shown up in many famous places. But we do need to ask, does it appear outside of South Africa? Because it's supposed to have come down with the Nguni people, so where else? Well, we know that besides South Africa, Swaziland, which is no surprise, but interestingly, and it is from here that the Nguni people are said to have come down from, it appears in Zimbabwe. So yes, it's absolutely from Central Africa down that you will find this creature. Zulu, Xhosa, Sotho, Tswana, absolutely expected as well. So there's no lack of all kinds of places where it is. Now, what we do need to sort of have a look at or explain as well is what other versions of this might be out there. Well, you could argue in many ways it's kind of, do apologize for that, it's kind of like a zombie in a way, simply because it's made from a body. So you can argue that in certain respects it's zombie-like, though it is more powerful and has greater facility, and according to some versions it's quite capable of talking. It does raise the question of, if it was made incorrectly by an inexperienced person who didn't use the red hot spike to control it, what would happen if the creature was able to get loose without controls? And that's a fairly scary thought right off bat. Does it turn up in other cultures? Well, arguably as well, it has similarities to the Navajo skinwalker. The difference being that the Tokrosh is separate from the witch, whereas the skinwalker is the witch. So perhaps not so much there. There are cultures where they speak of witches being able to send out their spirit in another creature, which does bear similarities, but in this case it's not their spirit they're sending, they've created. So arguably not. There are similarities to vampires in a way, because certainly this is a creature that can and does also feast on blood, though it's not its primary food, which is milk, which is just very strange. It's very unique to this in that regard. So there are similarities in a lot of different cultures. The Indian Gaul, for example, has many similarities in that regard, whereby a spirit of some kind, usually an evil one, is put into the body of a person by a sorcerer of some variety, and therefore it becomes a Gaul. The difference, again, is that Usually the Gaul is just a body, very strong, very indestructible in many ways, yes, but the Tokoloshe can turn invisible. It can become smoke-like and slip through keyholes. Much thanks for those likes there, I do appreciate that. Yeah, guys, like, share, subscribe, do all the good things, send gifts. We rely on you. But yes, so maybe in a way, the Tokoloshe is a sort of Uber Gaul. And if you didn't know, the word Gaul, which refers to a very specific kind of undead, comes in fact from the Indian word gul. So it's an Indian form of undead. It's not the same as the Nordic Draugr, because they are guardians, and they're only dangerous if you disturb what they're guarding, for the most part, though they are fairly terrifying. So there are similarities, there are analogies, but I would kind of say that no, it's sort of unique in and of itself, to Africa at least, and to Central Southern Africa. Now, as we know from the earlier discussion, the Khoisan do not believe in it. They come from a very different environment, and they are not Nguni, and they do not believe in that. They have their own creatures and things that they believe in. We know that most of the Nilotic tribes going right up the east coast of Africa do not believe in the Tokoloshe. It's not part of their culture at all. They have plenty, don't you worry, and we will get to them in due course. But by and large, no, that's not something that they have. It's central, yes. West Coast, not really either. And North Africa, no. Though there are similar things out there, they don't have the Tokoloshe. It is ours in that regard, in every way. We are the sole owners of the Tokoloshe. Now, with all of that, we know that some people say that not only is it some kind of an evil spirit, but quite specifically that they are a water spirit, which is very interesting because in the African beliefs, especially among the Ngunis, we have quite a lot of water spirits. I'm not sure why. It's certainly a thing. So absolutely, it's an interesting sort of a creature. Now, in and of itself, it appears it only has one sort of interest. It wants to feed, and it wants to collect souls for whatever. Okay? Any other aims are not on the part of the Tokoloshe. They are on the part of the witch that made it. So it is a controlled creature. We know that it is by and large humanoid, pretty much always. A mix, in a way, between a zombie and a gremlin. It's created specifically with the assistance of an evil spirit to power it. The reason for its glowing red eyes, of course, is because the eyes were burnt out, and you see the fires of evil burning in them. Particularly cold, very strong, possibly very fast, can turn invisible, might be able to turn into mist. So you've got that going. It is definitely ugly. There are all kinds of legends about them. But one thing which I'm going to put up now, which I do find to be quite interesting, is we were asked, how do you trap a tokolos? Well, according to one group, and I don't know how well this would work, I'm a little dubious, but then again, I cannot say that I am the absolute expert. There is a specific kind of thing that you can use in order to open, in order to catch the creature in question in that regard, at the very least. Now, I found this picture. It is not my picture. It is said to be the right way to do things. I do hope that this would be something that would work. I'm not sure that it would. I would be somewhat afraid that it might not. Simply because it does look a little bit on the dodge side, which worries me. But they say that it does. So let's assume, and I will put this picture up and you can tell me what you think. I don't know how well it's going to come out, to be honest. It's not the best picture. But this is supposed to be a tokolos trap. Make of it as you will. Maybe it works, maybe it don't work. But you apparently do have to use very specific materials in the making of it. So, it's not very clear, but basically what you have is a ring of thorns put into the ground. And in order for it to work, there must be acacia thorns, apparently, which are put into a circle with the spiky thorns pointing both outward and inward. And they don't say what kind of bait one would use. I don't know if you put it in front of the door or whatever, or in front of the window. Hard to say. But apparently, if a tokolos goes across it, they get caught within by the acacia thorns. Now, interestingly, acacia is considered to be a very spiritual plant in African theology, and it is used by Isangoma for a variety of different reasons, both medical and spiritual. So what we have here is a plant that is deemed in some fashion to be holy and good, which can be used to trap. Now, according to the site that I was looking on, this is something that would be done not by a witch, which is bad, but by an Isangoma, which is a magic user, which is good, who would use this in order to trap the creature and therefore get rid of it, exorcise it, so to speak. It is a tool of the good magic user to capture the evil. Now, according to a very interesting but rather technical and long-winded interview with one of the better Isangomas from KZN, the guy that interviewed asked obviously about the tokolosh and said, well, first of all, can you make one? And the Isangoma was very emphatic in that they said that yes, they know how, yes, they have the power to, but no, they never would, because by doing so, you automatically become a witch. Remember again, as I said in the beginning, using the word witch in this instance is a South African thing where it only refers to the evil kind. The good kind have different names. So in other words, what this Isangoma was saying is that automatically it would have a negative effect on the Isangoma themselves if they went ahead and did this. And therefore, no proper Isangoma will ever make a tokolosh. So it's taken very seriously. Whether or not an Inyanga could is another question. Theoretically, I suppose, yes. Would they? Probably not, for the same reasons. I'm not certain of the extent of the abilities of an Inyanga in that regard. So for that, I think it would depend, because the only good Inyanga that I knew was also an Isangoma. So they could do different things because. Whereas if you got someone who was only an Inyanga, could they? Maybe. Hard to say. It's a difficult question. But yes, you can trap them. Yes, they are always evil. There is no such thing as a good version. And no good magic user will ever summon or use a tokolosh, because it involves all sorts of negativity, which is bad. Okay, so in that regard as well, it's not something that should be used in any way. We know that belief in it exists till today, and in fact, in many ways, has spread. We know that it does serve a very important social role. So from a purely scientific, psychological perspective, it's an important feature of society. And in fact, because the Nguni cultures, by and large, are very sensitive to accusation. It's a very serious thing. You don't just go accusing anybody of anything. So when people need help because something very negative has happened to them, blaming it on a tokolosh allows them to get help for what happened without pointing the finger at anybody, which might have negative repercussions within the community. So it does serve a positive role in that regard, in a weird sort of backwards kind of way. It's one of those situations, I think, that the very things that are important to society, that are in and of themselves good, can have negative influence or result simply because they are that important. And we see this turning up, that connection is massively important in Nguni culture. Something which always confuses foreigners is why you will have people standing talking, but they're on either side of a road shouting. Why don't they just walk up and talk? And it comes out of the viewpoint that it's proof they're hiding nothing, and that they're not doing anything that the community would consider negative. They are showing that they are good people. And it's a viewpoint that is in Zulu, Xhosa, Tswana, Swazi. I mean, they all do that. And it's important. We know that loudness is considered a good thing because it shows that you're not hiding, you're not secretive, because secretive implies jealousy, and jealousy is bad. And as you well know, it is jealousy that people generally go and want a tokolosh for. So you can see how the cycle goes round in its circles, and it's important. It's a cultural thing, and it's an important cultural thing. So do I think that that aspect, the psychological aspect, is an explanation? I think it is an explanation. It is absolutely an important explanation. Do I think it is the only explanation? No, I do not. I'm personally of the opinion that there may indeed be more to it than just a basic scientific psychological explanation. But nevertheless, there is great importance to the sociological side of things, and that may well be the reason for things a lot of the time. I see that the Brewing Cat sent us a nice little devil picture. Yes, tonight's cryptid is a particularly creepy one, and demonic in that regard. So absolutely, there is no doubt. We know that the belief in such things kind of spreads across cultures. I know people who are absolutely not Nguni. They are not even black. And they still say they've seen things out there. So maybe the stories abound. So before we dismiss out of hand just because it doesn't fall under the rational scientific, I think it is fair to say that we definitely have to consider more than. And as we know, Africa is a country of mysteries. I mean, you can't live here without having at least 2 or 3 occasions where something strange was seen. So, I don't know. Now, you've seen one version of what people think or say the tokorosh looks like. The other one, which I particularly enjoyed in and of itself, was this one, which also fits to the old headcanon in that regard. Though I will say that this one is a particularly ugly one. Very hairy, somewhat hyena-like, definitely very strong. Short maybe, but for that very reason, I would kind of suspect maybe saying that it can't climb on a bed might be hoping for too much. It looks like it could climb anything it frickin' wanted to in that regard. Now, could you make it from anything? Well, some people say yes, and I suppose it might affect the appearance. You could probably do it with a monkey. Simply because it's small and it has a body. They say livestock can be used, so why not something like that? And we know that monkeys are natural thieves, so that would certainly be appropriate. Much thanks for the likes there, user 8891 801 222 574. We shall call you Bob. Simply because it's that kind of thing. Does it matter? I don't know. We're moving into the much darker aspects of Nguni belief. Now, the fact that it's a water spirit is interesting because there are several water spirits, and I live in the Drakensberg, of course, and around me is the famous Howick Falls, where the giant water snake is said to live. One of many across Africa, in fact, which is again a water spirit that may or may not be carnivorous. It is said that at times, as part of varying rituals, people would put sacrificed chickens and such into the falls. I don't know if they still do. Inkanyama is a interesting creature which might be good or might be bad. It's hard to say, dependent on. It's certainly very creepy, and it's always around rivers and falls and more. So there is that. We do know that it turns up in multiple places across Africa, and always pretty much the same. And it's a water spirit, and it can be pretty nasty. It can be small when it wants to. It can be very large. We know that snakes are absolutely vehicles of the spirit world in general within Nguni culture. Sometimes bad, not always, but certainly spirit type creatures. So there is no doubt that we have an issue in many regards with water creatures in Africa. It's fascinating to say that among the Dogon, the extraterrestrials that they said visited them and gave them all their knowledge of star systems that we're only finding now, were also water creatures of a kind. We know that there are all sorts of different watery beasties of great danger, both supernatural and very prosaic. I mean, when I worked the missions in northern Zululand, just when I was there, there were 2 hippo attacks that I heard of, and one which was fatal. So, I mean, what's in the water is dangerous. I know in several of the places nearby, there were quite a few crocodiles. So you don't even have to go into the supernatural to know that the water is both a blessing and a curse. It goes both ways, and it's pretty serious. So the fact that these creatures are seen as water spirits, I suppose in some respects is not surprising. They've turned up time and again in that regard. We know that waterfalls are very often considered to be sacred. We know that all down the coast there are a number of stories to do with water creatures, and some of them pretty frightening, that have come down for all kinds of reason. If you're from Natal, you know Sharkers Rock. And why? I mean, right there, that shows you the importance of water and the possible dangers thereon in that regard. So water spirits seem to be the bad kind in Africa, but water is life. So you've got a kind of dichotomy between the good and the bad, and the Tokolosh is the dark side of that. Absolutely on that side of things without a shadow of a doubt. It is truly the negative aspect, though there are positive ones as well. There are tales of entire villages underwater at certain lakes, which if you're nice to them, they can be nice to you, and bring gifts and aid. But if you are not so nice to them, there are issues with that too. Both ways it goes. But for tonight, and with this live, I put it to you that the tokolosh is without a doubt 100% negative. It is absolutely terrifying. It is absolutely evil. And it is only brought forth by the darkest of beings. It is truly not the kind of reality you would want in that regard. So anybody associated with the calling of one would be automatically considered a witch, which, as I have said again and again, in this context means the evil kind. But of course, to counter that and to our vast relief, you get more of the good kind, who will absolutely do all they can to hold back these frightening and awful creatures and all of the boogity-boos that go bump in the night. So the idea of the Isangoma or the Inyanga is a comfort, if you will, that there are those that hold back the darkness. But are these the only creatures in South Africa that are associated with the witches? And the answer is no, because, as we have said, they are known to have... Okay, here's the problem. I'm going to say familiars, but the problem with saying it is that that's a very English word, with English overtones to witchcraft, which itself has English overtones, and it belongs to a different culture. So I don't like to use that word really. I would rather say that they have animal assistance that might be more than just an animal. And they have varying varieties. We know, as we have said, that snakes absolutely get involved in varying ways. It is said, at least, that certain birds and animals may connect, dependent very much so on the Isangoma or Inyanga in question. So there is that side. I see that Jaden has come back. Welcome back, sir. I hope you managed to sort all you needed to do. We know that what exactly these creatures are, it depends how people say. Some say it's just an animal that the Isangoma can then use to put their own spirit in and go wandering around to check things out in safety. So there is that. Some say that no, they've got a different spirit in, and some say that they are in fact a different spirit. Which story is true? Well, the only people who can properly answer are the users of the magic themselves, and that's one of their secrets, and they don't tell. We do know that there are other creatures that are used as messengers in that regard. Some say spiders are very important. Others say insects of varying variety might be important. How much so and what will depend on which particular group you talk to. But there are a number. We also know, of course, because that is the bedrock of the entire belief system, that these spirits with which the Isangoma and the Inyanga work are the Amadlosi, the ancestors. And of course, the ancestors work with them and can and will do things for them, just as the Isangoma can and will do things for the ancestor in that somewhat symbiotic relationship. So you've got a whole slew of ancestors, and it might be the ancestors of the Isangoma, or it might be the ancestors of their community or their client, or the greater people, because you get ancestors of all kinds. So while for example, Shaka might not be your direct line of family. If you are a Zulu, he is one of your ancestors, even though there's no direct relationship, because that's how it works. We know that anybody that belongs to your clan that is now an ancestor is your ancestor because of clan. We know that anyone in your family that is an ancestor is also your ancestor. So you get different types and kinds of ancestors, and they can be accessed by the powerful magic user in varying ways, dependent on. So there is no doubt that there is a sufficiency of spirits, both good and bad, that may or may not be used. We also know that if you have an ancestor that was particularly horrible in some way, or bad or negative, they don't get allowed to be an official ancestor as such. They do not become one of the Amadlos. They are basically exiled by both the living and the dead. And because of that, they become a kind of a demon, which of course right there might mean that they are the one that would become the Tokolosh. How true is that? Well, these are secrets belonging to the Isangomas. You are indeed back, sir. Did you manage to solve all of your issues?
Yep, I just had to wash the dishes at this time.
Well, the sad thing is we eat every day, and the doing of the dishes is something that has to be done sooner or later, always, to be fair. And you are not alone in that. I too had to do it, but I got stuck in earlier. And what remains will be done only tomorrow morning. But yes, it's a task.
So much lighter in your room now.
It does, and I will tell you why. Because between the last time you were on with us and now, what's happened, they're fixing the roof of the house, and one room, well, not at this time, no, they're just in general, but the room where I was, where we had all of the computers set up, there's a problem with the roof, so it's been closed off, and they are fixing the entire roof, so the room is a complete mess. So obviously it's got to be raised so that it fits better against the rest of the house. It's from an the room is actually an extension on the original. So there's that. Now, with that in mind, basically what they've done is that's separated, and we've moved out of it, and I've taken the computers and everything and put them in a different room which has a much better light. So it is, you are absolutely correct, much brighter and better. I rather like it far more than the other place, I got to be honest. There's not quite as much space.
How long are you going to be live for?
We were actually about to finish up in 2 minutes, so a minute and a half really. So
Don't you end at 12?
we do, but I was hoping to hit a particular mark. I've got to be on for 140 minutes to achieve the next mark, and I have to get 3K hearts, which I'm just under. So guys,
No, wait, I'll get that 3K, wait.
there you go, we'll make it. You see, this is why we have such great people that help out, because we make our flares then and expand the channel.
3K, yes.
We can't, there you go, you did it. Man, that was fast. I'm impressed. Hey, there you
I
go.
know. Oh, don't. I
Great
know.
kudos to Jaden for that. Thank you so much. So we have made our thing almost. We are on 44. So as soon as it hits 1 minute 45, we will have done. And I will close up the live on that. But yes, unless there are specific questions, we do have a bit more time. So does anyone have questions? Do you have specific ideas? I want to do another deep dive in the next live on another cryptid. So
Hey, you made the people in this life like the thing, like it. No, you guys, this guy can
Mia,
get money. Like the life,
hey,
you can get money. Oh,
there we go. People are listening to you. Hey, I should hire you on. That's amazing. Much thanks to all those who are doing the liking, because it does make a
I get
huge difference.
20% each cent. Yeah.
Well, you never know. If we can make it a monetized channel, that would be an amazing success. So absolutely. But what do you think, Jaden? If you had to pick one cryptid from anywhere around the world that you wanted to know the history of, what would it be?
Japan.
Okay, Japan. What from Japan?
There's a lot.
There are. I suppose we
Is that the name? No, it's the other one. That one that dances in the fields.
that's the
More like
kitsune. But we could do an
yes.
overview for Japan on the yokai. Now, if you don't know what a yokai is, a yokai refers to any supernatural creature. So ghosts are a kind of yokai, but so are kitsune, which are not ghosts. So you get different varieties of yokai, and some of them are very strange. So
We gave you 1012 likes in the last 5 minutes.
good Lord, you did. I'm actually quite blown away there. And I have a returned cat who obviously has finished playing outside and wants attention again. She runs outside and plays till she gets cold, and then she comes in. If you keep joining me on the live, you have to say hello to everybody. So come here. Come here. Wait, let me see if I can get her to pop her head up. Kitty, kitty, come on. Put your head up so you can be seen. There you go. There you are.
In the world, 10 out of 10.
There we go. The kittykins. And she's definitely
Just 21
settling
people
in.
in life, please. Let's get to 6K at least.
So this, by the way, is the Lady Munchkin, who is the elderly kitten of the house, and definitely the boss of everybody up to and including me. And she's one of these cats that when she wants attention, she wants it right now. Not at your convenience, immediately,
That's
and
like
only...
my dog, my Yorkie.
There you
She's
go.
feisty if I don't give her food. Like if it's late and I don't give her food, she's like, "Argh," and she chases me around and she bites my ankles like, mm-mm.
Well, that you've just described Munchkin, because her habit is if there is a bit of the bottom of the bowl visible, it doesn't matter how much food is in, the bottom is visible, and she comes and asks you to refill, please, immediately. And she will meow at me until I go and refill, so that the bottom of the bowl is no longer visible.
My father would have raged and just started saying, hey, eat the damn food. It's a lot.
She does not listen. She is absolutely the boss, and she is currently purring away, so clearly she's getting the attention she needs. Yes, you wicked creature. She plays all night. She is an absolute master hunter, much to the upset of her.
I had a pit bull, his name was Tank. He would, if he saw a snake in our yard, he would take it and he would chew it up and then throw it away.
Oh, well, you see, this one catches everything, and she is fearless. Now, we've got another cat called Diablo, and he is an absolutely hopeless...
Diablo.
Yes.
Doesn't Diablo mean devil in Spanish?
It does, and it's because he is absolutely wicked. He will hide and then leap out at you for fun and play tricks. He is very playful.
No.
He's an absolute darling, but he is a hopeless hunter. He can do grasshoppers, but he hasn't really mastered the art of hunting. And when he hides, he forgets to hide his tail. He's starting to learn, but unfortunately the first bird he decided to catch was when he was a kitten and quite small, and he chose the biggest male teguan in our garden, and he successfully leapt onto it, landed on its back, and it turned around and pecked him. And that put him off birds for quite a long time, because he really didn't know how to manage that. But the teguan was like twice his size. So he clearly overstretched his ability quite seriously. But he's getting back into it now, and he's had a couple of successes. He's getting there. But he's very much a kitten, whereas Munchkins is the full-grown version, and absolutely she's mastered the art of catness in every way. So we've got that going. So yes.
If you hear like tapping sounds, I'm smacking my phone.
Well, you literally have hit 6K. I'm amazed. And we have done so and got to the end. So all the rest of you people out there, seeing as I can see you on the live, drop a comment. What cryptid would you like looked at? Jaden wants yokai, which means that the next deep dive is absolutely going to be the yokai. But we're going to be doing this for a long time. There you see, she's had enough of attention. Now she wants some biscuits, so she's toddled off to get biscuits. She is done.
No, not okay. That's.
That's cat. You only do as much loving as she wants, in the manner she wants, and once she's done, she's done.
But I love cats, so if that was my cat, I'll give her all the attention she wants. Okay,
Oh, she always gets it.
I had four Germans, but two of them died. One's in our yard.
Shame.
We buried her there.
Well.
And the other one's at the vet's grave. We have two beagons here. They're 10 years old in dog years. When I told you, they jump I think they jump higher than me, and I'm 5 foot something.
They do.
And they can jump higher than me. When I told them, when I said they jumped just to catch the small planes looking bird, they jumped.
Well, I knew a guy who trained the dogs, the Alsatians, that the police use in Joburg, and
no, I don't train them, but they're respectful. When we say no, they know.
They are very intelligent, but in terms of jumping, because these ones were absolutely well trained, I saw one of the dogs run up a 3-story wall and onto the roof.
Oh yeah, I know that video.
They are incredibly acrobatic, and I was there when it did it. So that's why they use them.
You were there?
Yes. I went to a proper demo. I was a reporter, remember? So I went to the...
It was like, I saw a video of that same thing happening, and that dog just ran up and catch this flag in the air.
Yes, they are incredibly acrobatic. So if you're thinking that you can run away from them...
4,484 likes in the last 5 minutes.
It did. So yeah, you do get some amazing animals. But guys, Mia, what do you want to hear about? You popped on and you sent likes and all, but despite that, you haven't said what cryptid would you like most given a deep dive into, anywhere in the world, any cryptid, and we will see what we can find out about in history.